Ladies and gentlemen, this week we're going to talk about Titan FC 39 that just happened. Also, the return of Fedor. He's back. He's going to be on UFC Fight Pass. We also look to UFC Ottawa, which has got a horrendously delicious main event in Rory McDonald against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So check this out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Okay, we're back. Another podcast, another week. And let's just mention straight away, off the cuff, our two guests. Awesome guests this week. We've got Lutrition, the man who has been looking after the top level guys. You've got John Jones, Aljamain Sterling, Johnny Hendricks, all those names. He is the nutritionalist. He has been helping these people get onto weight. He's weight management, not weight loss, weight management. We get him on, have a great conversation about what's coming up with him, what's been happening, how things have been going with that aspect. And also we talk a little bit in the nutritional side of things. So I suggest you all listen to it. I've put the little card up in the top corner. You should be able to see it on your screen. If you're listening to this via SoundCloud or any other kind of audio network, if you go down to the, we'll have this separate interview on there for you to listen to. Also, I have the man himself, James Lynch, my buddy from Canada. He's on. We talked to him about the UFC Ottawa card because obviously, being a proud Canadian that he is, he has a very strong relationship with a lot of the guys on the card and lady, should I say, as well. So look, we're going to jump into that card with him. So again, if you want to listen to that breakdown, our views on it, we have a few picks on there too for you to listen to. Check him out now, I suggest you do. But now I've got Mike here as usual. So Mike, do you want to give everyone a shout out?
Hello everyone.
That was it. Okay, that was marvellous. That was mind blowing. Mike, first and foremost, they're going back to UFC Ottawa. They've got a card in Canada, huge card. I'm looking forward to it. Great to have them back in Canada, to be fair, with a good card. But they've also announced they're going back again, this time to Vancouver, and you've got a hell of a matchup. You've got Anthony Pettis and Charles Oliveira. Anthony Pettis hinted at that 145 drop. It's confirmed. It's signed on the dotted line. We're going to see him down at 145 against a man who, on the feet, is very vulnerable, but on the ground, he is just a serpent. What a hell of a matchup that is, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. We spoke a little off there about how he's in that position where there's no easy fights, and whether you're moving weight or not, it doesn't matter.
When you're
Clearly,
Pettis,
you just got to keep this on the feet.
Yeah, when you're Anthony Pettis, you're not going to get easy fights. It's as simple as that. People looked at him and said he's on the slide. Look at who he's been fighting, and then think about, is he on the slide? And especially in the 155 division, it's just a shark tank. It's constant guys to worry about. Mike, also the UFC Ottawa card, the UFC, have brought in this great policy, haven't they? Where in the last card, the actual commission had in where you could weigh in early. The UFC have brought that kind of fantastic idea to Ottawa. They're going to give fighters a chance to come in on the scales early before obviously the official weigh-ins, so guys and girls can get on the scales, get themselves hydrated that little bit, a lot more, and it's a lot, you know what, it looks good for them, especially because they're getting a little bit more time to hydrate. It's not the doctors will say it's not the ideal amount of time they need, but it's a bit more, so it's something that will do.
Exactly, it's fighter safety at the end of the day. It's facts that brain injuries there's a big connection to weight gain.
Dehydration
yeah,
is.
Exactly. Yeah. So the dehydration of the brain. It's so anything that reduces that is good news in my books, and I'm glad they're sticking with it and they're giving it a strong run. Again, the last one, seems to have done really well, and I think it'll work well again this time.
It will. I think hopefully the UFC might start to implement this a bit more. I just think they need to nail the weigh-in. Like I said to you last time, folks, on the podcast, they just need to nail that weigh-in kind of routine. Anyway, so we're going to move on, Mike, to basically what was, I thought, a fantastically fun card, which was Titan FC. At the start, they had finish after finish after finish. Then it went to several decisions, but there's a couple of standout performances. One performance, Mike, Kurt Hollowblock going against Luciano dos Santos, who is the Muay Thai coach. He works at Black Zillions. Holloway looked great at 155, going back up there. He looked full of energy.
I think it was exactly what he needed, after coming back after being unsuccessful. And he looked good. He looked good at the weight. I was wondering how he'd look at the weight, size-wise, how he'd match up. And, it looks right on him.
Well, he's fought at 155 before. That's where he fought Pat Healy back in Strikeforce, and when he went to UFC, he would just try down at 145 again, kind of like Ross Pearson, where it just didn't work for him. Came back up. The same with Kurt Holloway. Mike, another fight on the card that was probably up there. It was probably fight night. No, it was fight night. Let's rephrase that. It was fight of the night. Diego Lima and Dave Machado for the welterweight title. I will be honest right now. I didn't score it for Diego Lima myself. I don't know how Mike scored it. I don't know how Mike viewed it, but for me, I didn't see Diego Lima win that fight.
No, it was. I was a bit surprised. It's. I think he can feel a little hard done by, but enjoy. I remember what
Mike, spit it out, will you? Come on, mate. People are listening. They want to listen. Spit it out, lad.
Yeah. I watched the Titan card. I always know I'm in for a pretty good night when I'm watching the Titan card. You can watch it with confidence. And, I'm just in good mood seeing, like you said just now, finish after finish. And then we did have a few decisions, and, I was just buzzing the whole night, to be honest with you.
Right. So I don't know where you went off track there about the fight itself. Right, you didn't even. I don't know where you're going there. I don't think anyone knows. When you go on tangents.
I'm trying to give my brain a chance to remember.
Right. Okay. So Mike's been smoking crack. Mike's on the meth. But yeah, the fight itself. I had Machado being the aggressor too much. He had. I know he took damage with the cuts, but at the same time, I thought his output was there more than Diego Lima's. I thought he really tired Lima out. I think I had it 3-2 David Machado, and I think I had it 3-2 to be fair, quite clear. It wasn't a tight 3-2. I'm sure Dave's going to be feeling hard done by. Diego Lima's going to be happy that he got the win. I don't know who they're going to put in and mix him up with now, but that welterweight title's there. They've got a brand. They've got a guy in Diego Lima they can kind of push out there to the market. So we'll see what happens there. Let's go to the co-main event, Mike. And the co-main event, Mike, was Andre Harrison against Divisio Rivera. And the fight itself, I have to say, it was a beautiful fight up until the sad ending to the bout. But because Rivera was getting the better of Andre Harrison with the striking, then Andre started to implement his wrestling, getting him down and dominating with that side of things. But on the feet, Rivera looked really sharp, really crisp. I was really impressed by him. Sadly though, when that kick happened, he checked it, he stepped back on it, the shin had gone, it snapped it was out. It was just a sad way to end the fight really. But that means Andre Harrison goes on to another win. He's still unbeaten. Now to be fair, he's technically got a finish, but it's by default.
Yeah, but I've got to say this, props to him, even though that leg was clearly broken, he didn't know an awful lot.
No, shock's a great thing. We've got to love shock and adrenaline. It's a beautiful thing.
Do you know what? I've broken one or two bones in my life, and I've never had shock save me that much before.
Mike's just a sissy though, folks. And let's go to. I don't know if Andre Harrison will get the call up to the UFC still. I'm still.
I think they might want to see him another time. Yeah.
I'm still uncertain because he's not still getting that finish. I'm debatable if they'll call him up, but we're going to move on to the main event, which was for me. It kind of was a shock. It blew people away. It was mind blowing. You had Jay-Z Cavalcante against Pat Healy. Now, I couldn't believe how that fight went down.
No,
and I don't think everyone else did either. But Cavalcante, it was for the vacant 155 title because Pat Healy didn't make weight, so he lost the chance to defend it last time. But then he won the fight, and it was so the title was up for grabs again in theory. And Pat Healy got finished in the first round, and he got finished hard, cracked with that right hand, which really put him off into Queer Street. As he went down, Cavalcante swung those strikes again, but it was that left that he threw under and got Pat in the chin, which really just put Pat out. He just sent him into like Mars. It was, hey, for me watching it as a fan, it was a hell of a way to fight. It was a hell of a good win, but I was a bit sad to see Pat get finished like that.
I know, because you don't expect to see him like, losing all his senses on the floor.
He's 5 times he's been fit. The last time
it's just.
Well,
saving this time.
He's been finished 5 times in the past before, Mike. But the thing is, the last time he got finished was back in 2000.
He was knocked out.
2007. 2007 was the last time he got stopped. Every time after that, he lost the decision. Like he wasn't getting finished.
Yeah, and he's known for taking an absolute
beating.
Like people throw the kitchen sink at him.
Yeah, he can take a drumming.
So it's not familiar to actually see him sort of like or a confusion on the floor, So.
And Pat's been around. He could probably bounce back from this. To be fair, there's still some good fights for him at 155 in there. You could you could see Jay-Z Cavalcante against Kurt Hollowblock happen, but you could also see potentially Pat Healy and Kurt Hollowblock happen. So there's a couple of good fights there already to mix and match up, depending on what other signings they might get. Let's though, Mike. I tell you what I'm going to do. I don't do it often. In fact, I never do it. World Series of Fighting, a fight I've got a card on this weekend, Mike. Now I know you might not know this, folks, and it might have went under the radar because it's going to be masked by UFC Ottawa. Because that card has got some... Well, that main event itself is so pinnacle in what could happen and transpire for the rest of the kind of whole division. But they've got a card on, which is probably their strongest card they've had in a long while. When you take away the marquee names that they usually try to use to brand... Because when they put the marquee names on, they usually have the main event. The rest of the card's awful. But they've got... like Luis Palmeiro against Silva Moreira's, like that's fight. John Howard versus Michael Arant. You got Jason High against Mike Ritchie, and then you've got Ivanov against Josh Copeland. So they've got a handful of good fights there on that card itself. Now, I just wanted to put that out there because surprisingly a handful of good bouts.
Yeah, so praise where praise is due.
It was, I'm interested to see how the fights go down.
When they don't, pull their weight. But yeah, I see what you mean. Like it does look quite enjoyable. There's.
I think their card is, if I'm honest, stronger than the Bellator card on this weekend. And yeah, Bellator on this weekend again. You might not. Well, with Bellator, I'll be honest. Let's get that. I'm going to get it out there now. I'm not backing Bellator really at all now. I've kind of lost my way. When they announced Alex Reed was fighting and he's got matched up now, I kind of lost it completely with Bellator. I was like, I can't believe it. Officially got announced the other day.
I tend to feel that they're happy enough to embrace this sort of carnival sort of...
but Mike...
Almost like your WWF sort of...
But the problem is, Mike, the opponent he's fighting he fights at 165. He's like 42, I think, as well. But the thing is, he's not a middleweight. It's just a stupid fight to have. I'm not a fan of it. I have no interest in it. I will not be going down to Bellator to watch it. I've another friend of ours who we spoke to, Mike. I was speaking to him on Twitter, and we were just talking about it, how we weren't openly on Twitter as well, because nothing to hide, ain't going to be supporting that card. And I feel sorry there's a lot of guys on there, we both said that there's guys on there we love to bits, but the problem is, like, what is that card? Is it the guys get something out of it, or is it one-off card? Like, how often will come to the UK?
How's it going to work? Like,
I don't see the point. I don't get it. I just think it's a silly thing to do. I think Dean Garnett, I think Jack Mason, go on there, find that card. But do you know what? I'd like to see come back, maybe going back on the Cage Warriors, start to, and keep it going.
I think it's good exposure for them stateside.
It is.
And, like, if they get a good win, it gets their name out there on more the international sort of level.
It is, but Mike, they've kind of had that again. Some of the fighters have been cherry-picked opponents, like MVP Michael Van Page. I'm getting super annoyed with this dude because he's been given another fight where it's Thiago It's basically Cyborg. He's fighting Cyborg. He's 38. He's been getting knocked out left, right, and centre. He's nowhere near. Nowhere near. He's basically a fighter that's just broken, and he's just on getting the payday.
I was going to say, he was training with Vanderlei when Vanderlei was out in Pride.
It's just not he's not the same guy. It's a silly fight. I'm not excited about it. I'm just not pumped about that card at all. I know there's some cool dudes on the card, but I really couldn't care less.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I really want to see Michael Page really tested now.
They need to. He's not. The thing is, he's been there 3 years now. That's past the point of bringing him in or breaking him in. That's too long. You need to start throwing him in against guys.
It almost feels like they're kind of trying to nurture him a little bit longer.
Nurture him? I don't know about that. I think they're just being daft and helping blow up his ego where it's going to get popped and it's going to make a really big downfall.
Yeah. But don't get me wrong. I believe in him.
He is. But I want to see him fight someone talented. Yeah, I want to see him fight some talented dudes and tough dudes who are going to test him.
Sooner or later, you got to take the stabilizers off. And let him loose.
Look, another card on this weekend, which we don't often talk about, Mike. In fact, I talk about it on Twitter because I mock the commentary. EFN is happening over up in Russia, which is on Fight Pass. You can tune into this. Fedor is back. This is the card that we're talking about Fedor being on. He's fighting Fabio Maldonado, which in itself, it's not a great fight to have because Maldonado can box like a bastard and can take a punch. He can hit hard. Maldonado's a great little boxer. So, yeah, it's not a cherry pick fight really because I don't think Maldonado's a pushover in my opinion. I think Maldonado's still a tough fight.
I think because we haven't got the Fedor that we once had.
No. You never will. He's too old.
Yeah, it's like how much of Fedor have we got left? What's his motivation now?
Well, he has.
What's he after getting out of the sport for himself?
He has said that he's never been as close as he has of late to be signing for the UFC. He's very close to the deal. It's very close to potentially happening.
Yeah, but I've heard a lot of guys talk like this before, and both in boxing, and you kind of wonder are they still enjoying the game?
Yeah, but all I'm saying, Mike, is
the game, the tease,
Mike,
are they enjoying the chase?
Mike, going to put out there, Fedor, Verdum, 2, boom.
Yeah, it'd be good to see.
It'd be fun to see that fight. It'd be fun. It's a fun fight out there. And the thing is, with the heavyweight division in the UFC, Fedor could fit in. It's not like they're all 28-year-old mega studs. You've got guys who...
There's also a fight against Bigfoot.
There is a fight against Bigfoot. If Bigfoot's still around, who knows what's going to happen with him.
Because Bigfoot has a big win against him as well.
He does. There's a load of options. So... I don't mind the idea of Fedor going there. I don't mind Fedor fighting a couple of fights and then going, and I'm up for it.
Heavyweights in there.
Yeah. I'd be up for it.
Worst guys on the payroll, so.
Yeah, it'd definitely be something worth looking out for. Also on that EFN card is a guy in Ruben Wolf, who is one of the top European heavyweights to keep an eye out for as well. So he'd be an eye open. There's also a guy called Jack McGann, who's a UK English fighter going over there to fight, so it'd be interesting to see how he performs on his own right. Let's move on to.
You just might want to mute your TV though and play some background music or something instead while you watch it.
Right, Mike. Let's go to the UFC Ottawa card. Like I said, we're going to look over the card. We're not going to go in depth on every fight.
Okay.
Mike, let's go on then, Mike. Couple of fights then. Let's go through a couple of fights for you that you think I like that fight. I've talked about the card a couple of times to a couple of people. What about you, though?
Okay, right. Okay.
Start at the bottom, Mike. Start at the bottom, work your way up, obviously. Don't start at the top. That's not fair.
I'm going to start at the very bottom. Ali Bagatinov.
Right.
Okay. Got popped.
For EPO.
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan of him before he got popped. So, I'd like to see how he does. he was looking really good before he lost to Demetrius, which is not the it's not the end of the world. He used to Demetrius. Everyone else seems to manage it. So it's Demetrius is just that good.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing that and seeing what he's like off the juice.
He's not Mike. He's not on juice. It's EPO.
No, yeah, okay. I'm putting everyone in the same box.
Yeah, because unless you know about it, don't. Yeah, just don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
You sound stupid when you do it like that. Okay, Mike. What fights then?
Okay, right. I'm going to fly through it. I'm going to leap straight up because I'm just super excited to see Valerie Letourneau against Joanne, our own, well, Scotland's Joanne Calderwood.
Okay, okay.
Now, this is the very, very first UFC 125 female division fight. So
it's not set in stone if they're keeping that division. This is just a fight that's happening, though. It's a feature fight. There's no. They probably will have the 125. I think they want to test the market out and see how it goes. But yeah, that's what's happening at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and that weight division is made for these girls. These girls really struggle at making the weight. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what two girls that can really fight as when they're not absolutely drained, from a weight cut.
I think one thing that impressed me with Valerie was she went up against Joanna Jacek, and she didn't take a 5-round pounding. She gave it back in that 5 rounds.
She did much better than I.
And she showed how fucking tough of a girl she is. And I'm not being funny. Joanne needs to really make sure now she's back to the kind of Invicta Joanne we saw, where she was fucking people up and just being absolutely animalistic. We need that. We can't have the UFC one. It's not going to work in this fight anyway, because it could be really devastating. It could be a really devastating loss for her, which is not what she needs.
The Invictus Joanne beats the UFC Joanne that we've seen so far.
Yeah, definitely.
I just hope that she does find a way of attacking it, because she would literally go through, like with her striking, she'd go through the reptile of everything out there,
She's great fun. It's great fun. Great fun to watch. Especially if you got Fight Pass, go and watch some of the fights, people. She's just fun to watch.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
Yeah, it's good fun.
You'll be like, where's this girl been?
Okay, Mike, what's next for you then? What else kind of tickles your taste buds?
Right, okay. Not a massive secret. I'm a massive Donald Cerrone fan. And I would support Donald Cerrone against...
Even though he got popped in the past.
Let's not bring up the past.
Oh, right, okay. It's different now, is it? Right.
Yeah, wasn't that for weight making?
Doesn't matter. You just said before, hang on a minute, you said before Valley Bagtinov, you said you put them all in the same basket, so don't sit there and cherry pick, princess.
Okay, but we'll put him near the top of the basket. I love Donald Cerrone. I love him. He's ethic on the whole fight game, how he doesn't say no to anything, he'll come in super short notice, and the way he fights as well. But I'm kind of nervous for him in this fight, because you've got Patrick Cote, who... I wasn't a massive fan of Patrick Cote, but I love him at welterweight.
At middleweight, it wasn't... For some reason, you didn't get the best Patrick Cote at middleweight. Even though he had a shot at the title, ladies and gentlemen, he had a shot at the middleweight title, which kind of goes under the radar, because it was a while back, but also it was kind of one of...
Basically, he fought when everyone else was getting stopped by Silva, and, getting absolutely owned and, knocked out and all sorts. And Silva couldn't drop it nor anything.
No.
That's how good this chin is.
Well, he's a tough...
Yeah. He's got probably one of... I'd say he's definitely in the top 5 chins in the UFC.
Top 5? Possibly, yeah. Yeah, I can go with that. I can go with you on that one.
I'd put him in the Mark Hunt. Well, Mark Hunt has been knocked out. Patrick Cote, we haven't seen him get knocked out.
No, he got a knee injury, didn't he? Or a leg injury or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think was it his hands or something, or his knees?
It was something like that,
I think he retired after 3 rounds.
I can't remember what it was on his leg now. It's going to bug me, but yeah, he got some kind of leg injury.
Me, actually.
But Dude is looking awesome at middleweight. Welterweight. Sorry, he's looking so good. I'm with you. I think that it's not looking good for Cerrone in this fight. He's fighting a guy who's on point.
His power is looking good.
He hits hard. He can good technique
as well, and that chin is still there.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a harder fight up for Cerrone than it is for Cote. Main event. I imagine the main event is last thing to look at. Roy McDonald, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where the last time I kind of felt like this was when I was watching Donald Cerrone against Miller.
Yeah, it's such a hard one.
I don't want to see anyone lose.
And on the betting lines, folks, I'll let you know now. It's minus 110 for both of them. So even the bookies are finding it hard because even though Wonderboy Thompson, he is flying, he is smashing with these beautiful techniques, killing people just on another level. When you got Roy McDonald is a guy who can switch on a dime, and he can make the most dangerous guy look like nothing in there. And it's so perplexing how this guy can be a world beater, and then some days it's just not clicking. And you think Ron McDonald, after that fight with Robbie Lawler, how does he feel? You know, because like he had that belt, he was winning on the scorecards, and he was.
Oh yeah, they were starting to engrave it.
Yeah, that is how close it was for him. So how does that affect him? How is the hunger there to make sure because he's also got to remember, folks, this is his last UFC fight on his contract. He said he's going to test the open market, and what he means by that test it is basically he's going to see what else is offered, because the UFC has to match it. Say for example Bellator or someone came along and said, "Oh, we want to give you X, Y, Z." He's going to test it. I can't wait to see, because does that fuel him to make sure he puts on a performance and gets a win? Because if he gets a win, UFC will have to sit there and go, "Oh, we need to keep him now. We need to make Robbie and Rory 2. I'm not counting out Tyron Woodley, but I am. So yeah, Mike, go on.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Yeah, Stephen Thompson in his last fight, just he looks another level. He looks like he's champion as soon as you give him a title fight. That's how he looks. But these guys at the very top of the welterweight division, they can, the guys that you think are a dead cert, they can just turn them around.
Yeah, and the thing you've got to remember.
He did it with Tyron Woodley.
Yeah.
He made it so that Tyron was scared to engage.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen there with the welterweight division, the title fights as well, because there's so many fights, and Damian Maia, what do you do with this guy? He's like, what more does he have to do? It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's done more than enough for a title fight. It's Damian Maia.
Yeah, it is. I can't wait for the card itself.
He has a win over.
And the UFC Fight Pass feature prelim as well is Elias Fedor against Sam Alvey. Now, if that isn't a fight to get you kind of excited, I don't know what is, because that fight for me it's going to be a cracking bout. You've got a guy in Elias who showed what heart he had when he had that fight against Thiago Santos and lost that fight, and then Sam Alvey coming back after losing to Derek Brunson. He broke his jaw as well, so he's been out for longer because he had his jaw broke. Not in that fight, but in training. How's that chin? Is that chin right? Who knows? I can't wait to see that fight go down. So look, it's in all, the UFC Ottawa card. It's going to be a fantastic card to watch. Tune in. I suggest you all watch it. Of course, we've got the other fights on EFN. You've got that on Fight Pass as well. There's so much to watch, people. You've got to tune in this weekend.
Good weekend to get Fight Pass.
It's a good weekend to get Fight Pass. It's always a good weekend. So look, great fights, great things that happen. Potential UFC sale, which is rumours. I've been speaking to a couple of people where it's pretty kind of solid that it's going to happen. So look, more news we get, the more information I get, the more we'll relay on to. So have a great week, folks, and we'll speak to you soon. Pow. Stop saying You kill me when you do this.
The Titan fight, with what's his face, Liver. For some reason, my brain
Who, sorry?
Lima.
Who?
Yeah, my brain was telling me that he won it by stoppage. And when you said, oh, you know, I thought he won that, I thought to myself, clearly I'm thinking of something wrong here. So that's why I was like, and then when you mentioned the cuts, I thought, no, that's right, because he was cut above and below the eye, wasn't he? And
Yeah.
on both eyes as well. Yeah, I think he had, was it probably about 4 cuts?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, yeah, he was the dude that shared the cookies, wasn't he? At the weigh-ins once. In the UFC.
Could be. Could have done.
Yeah, they got the cookies opened.
Yeah.
And, in hindsight, yeah, I agree. I did think he won that fight as well. Because when he lost it, I thought to myself, like, ooh, ouch. You know? Because you could see the shock on his face. Like, where he thought to himself, like, I didn't see myself losing this fight. You know? He took it quite well, right? I think he just said, oh, I'll have to go away and reset or readjust or something like that, wasn't it? Or something, you know, I forget how he worded it. But,
Yeah, I thought it was pretty close.
yeah, he wasn't disgusted. You know, it wasn't like, oh, you know, this is a fix and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah.
Sorry, mate, there was something there. Sorry.
That's going to be a pretty cool card, that one. I think, yeah, that's... The Canada always seems to be good in Canada, doesn't it?
No, not always. The last card was a bit poor. I'm trying to remember which card it was now, but the last card was a bit poor. It's going to piss me off.